We are here with Steve Johnson at Virtuosity Music in Boston. We are exploring some of the instruments. He's going to tell us some cool stories, show us some instruments in the back that are pretty special, and then tell us a little bit about the business. So Steve, thank you for having us, and we'll get right into it.
Yep, this is it. So this is a very early Bach trumpet, part of Vincent Bach's sample library. So this is the original shop card from 1937. And then this instrument ended up in the Army. It was documented that it went around Europe in World War II, and then ended up being gifted to a person who just brought it in last week. We're going to restore this instrument to its original condition. It's fully engraved, hand engraved. It's got even got engraving on the inside of the belly.
Oh my God, yeah.
It'll be a big job, but it'll come out really nice.
When it's restored, what do you think it's worth?
I think that this is probably around $6,000.
A lot of people don't understand that these brass instruments also, they could be 100 years old.
Well, I can show you another one that's even older, that's got a cooler story even, actually. So this instrument was made by Adolf Sax,
Okay.
who invented the saxophone.
Really?
So this is a trombone. It's a valve trombone. It has a different fingering system than what we would expect on a trumpet or a baritone euphonium these days. Made it easier to do the slide positions quicker. And he went bankrupt after. To my knowledge, there's only 3 of these that exist right now. I know one's in the Metropolitan Museum, and I think one is in Selmeret in Paris. So this would be the 3rd one.
It's crazy the history behind these instruments.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as well documented as the violins and cellos. With these, you really kind of have to dig.
So what made you want to open up a shop? Were you originally a player?
Oh, I've played.
How do you go from that to this?
Circumstance. You just kind of fall into it. I had been working in the industry for a while, and the opportunity kind of presented itself. There wasn't a true pro shop in Boston when we have 3 of the largest conservatories in the country within walking distance. There are only, I'd say, a handful of us across the country that specialize in the pro level wind and brass. So having one here in one of the more prominent cities for music is kind of essential. It's almost a no-brainer. Here we are 10 years later.
Wow, 10 years. So would you say that most of your customers are local, or are you doing business everywhere in the country?
I mean, we do business all over the place. I mean, we have some people who fly in just to see one of our repair techs, but a lot of our businesses walk up and local.
Are there any of these instruments that you could tell us a little bit of a story about? Anything else unique?
So this is a sterling silver bell. And it's hand engraved too.
Oh, that's
but this is a reproduction of an etching that shows the 2 bell towers in the village where this instrument is made.
That's incredible. I mean, I would almost purchase this instrument just for the artwork on the front of it.
Yeah. And those are olive wood key touches,
Wow.
keeping with the Italian heritage. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The Selmer Supreme here, let me just get it out. So this is their top of the line tenor right now, the Selmer Supreme. And so they're continuing in that tradition. Things are handmade. There's lots of local craftsmen that are doing everything by hand. The last time I was over there, they had about 300 people, I believe, that were working in the factory.
Are there a lot of modern makers coming out and making new instruments?
No.
No, it's not really happening.
It's not happening as much. What we do see is a lot of stenciling, which was also common in the early 1900s too. You see a lot of that today. There are plenty of factories in either Taiwan or mainland China that will work on a contractual basis to make some instruments for you. They're working to specifications, getting it made the way they want it made, and putting their stamp on it, literally.
Yeah, but it's mostly the large manufacturers that still exist who are making the majority of the instruments.
Yeah, the majority of the high-end instruments. There are currently no U.S. factories making saxophones.
Really?
There hasn't been since, I believe, the 80s, early 80s. Con would have been the last one.
Why do you think that is?
It's almost prohibitively expensive to get all the tooling, and I mean, look at all the moving parts on this thing. I mean, it's like a typewriter. There's a lot that goes into making one of these guys, and just walking through a factory that makes these there's a lot of steps, from forging the keys and right down to assembling it, finishing it, and installing the pads. I mean, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, you probably need a lot of people to do that.
Yep, and if you're going to manufacture in quantity, then you got to have a lot of good people to do that.
Wow.
So, trumpets we do have made domestically. I mean, the instrument that I was showing you before is USA made.
Before you got into this business, did you know everything about the history of these instruments?
Not as much, no.
You've just learned over time.
Yeah, before I came into this side of the business, I actually worked in the violin industry too. My wife's a violinist, and I learned how to make instruments and did a lot of valuations for restoration purposes.
I know you've been doing this for a long time. Some stories of things that have happened that only you've seen.
So we had a gentleman come in with a flute looking to get it repaired and potentially sell it. It was a handmade instrument, not one that you would expect just anybody to have. So we were asking some questions about it. It just felt a little off. The maker was right here in Boston. So I called the maker, and then I started calling insurance companies to check the serial number. And they said, we actually do have a police report on file. It's over 10 years old though. They weren't able to give me the name of the person, but they were willing to call them on my behalf. The young woman called me back and said she had left it in a cab 10 years ago. And she ended up having to drop out of school because she didn't have an instrument anymore.
Oh my God, and she couldn't replace it?
She didn't have anything,
Wow.
no coverage, no nothing.
Wow.
So we recovered the instrument for her. Unfortunately, because it was over $10,000, the police were involved and the report was reopened. She was very delighted to have it back. We actually made it into the New York Times and the London papers as well for this one. It was one that they all kind of picked up.
But those sorts of things happen. I'm sure you've seen all the crazy customers, all the...
Yep.
But what about a good situation? Have you ever had somebody who came through that you maybe never thought you would ever work with or ever see, or bring in an instrument that you maybe will never ever see again?
Because where we're at, I mean, we get the people who come in to play with the symphony, we get the touring companies that come through and play the stadiums and the garden, the arenas, the Broadway touring people, and it's one of those things that if something happens on the road, it needs to be addressed quickly and efficiently and carefully. Some of those instruments are priceless, some of them are hand carried, some of them there's no opportunity to replace them. It needs to be done then and there. Speaking of instruments that we may never see again, I mean, we've had some museum quality instruments come through here. We've done some work for collectors, rare antiquities and that sort of thing too. It's the older ones where if a part is going to fail, you have to make that part.
We've heard that many times before, that these are not just parts that are super available. And
No, you
understand
can't just
that.
go to the hardware store or call, the local music shop to get some of these parts. I mean, if the horn ceased production in 1932 and you don't have an extra one laying around, you're making that part, whether you like it or not, unless you can fix it.
What's the thing that you enjoy most about doing this?
Just interacting with people. There's a lot of cool people out there, and you just never know who's going to walk through the door.
This is the most exciting part of my job. Most of what I do is over the phone. So when I get to see any instrument in person and get to see how the shop works and the people coming in and out and picking up their instruments, I think that's very exciting.
Usually riveting.
Yeah, no, it's the most exciting thing on the face of the planet. You see that. But, it gives us some cool stories as well, every once in a while. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us.